To find the real number solutions of this equation, we're going to need to not graph it, but factor it. And let's see, I think the best thing to do first is get rid of that 4. The 4 is in everything. That'll make it easier anyway. And then secondly is to think about the fact that we could substitute x in for w to the second power, which would mean that if we squared both sides, we could also substitute x squared into y to the fourth. W to the fourth. Let's learn here. So we have 4 times x squared plus 10x minus 11. If we substitute that in, and then we could think, factors of 11 that add up to 10, as long as they're not going to add, they're going to subtract. So I think we can do that. We can say x, the middle term is positive, so I'm going to say positive 11, and then I'm going to say x negative 1. Okay, so that gets me my negative 11 at the end. But it also gets me negative 11 or positive 11, negative 1, yes. And that ends up with that, right? So, oops. All right, so that works for us. And we look and see, we need to substitute that back in. So let's substitute it back in. We're going to put in x for the w squared, or w squared for x, and we'll say w squared plus 11 and w squared minus 1 equals 0. All right, well, the w squared plus 11, I can't do anything with that, so I'm stuck with that. However, this is the difference of two perfect squares. You might not think about it, but it's 1 squared is always 1, so I can factor that some more. So I can say 4 times w squared plus 11, that's settled. And then this is w plus 1 and w minus 1. Okay. And that's completely factored now. And it says find the real number solutions. All right, well, I have bad news for the first part. There's nothing I can do to make that 0. I can't put anything in to make w squared be negative, so that's a lost cause. But these two, I can find answers for that. And so I will say w is equal to negative 1, because that goes with positive 1 to make 0. And also w is equal to 1, right? Because 1 goes with negative 1 to make 0. So those are my two zeros. And that's what they asked me for. Well, they're real number solutions. The solutions are, where does this polynomial cross the x-axis? And it happens at negative 1 and 1. Or maybe it's the w-axis. But anyway, those are the answers. Those are the solutions.